Hey guys, Peter here. I got Kenny Zhang on the other end over here. Kenny, thanks for meeting with us today. Kenny is the pastor of media and innovation here at Liquid Church, and I've asked Kenny if he would share a few thoughts on social media with you guys, especially those of you that are parents, going to be parents, or know parents that are on the fence about using social media themselves or their kids being involved in social media. So Kenny, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So Kenny, I want to just start off with the idea of, actually I'll just give you a little context. Last week I was standing in the lobby downstairs at the Hyatt, which is where we have church, for those of you that aren't aware of where that is. And this woman, I heard her talking to another person saying, yeah, my kids are all on Facebook and that Tweeter and that thing, but I don't do any of that stuff, and I don't even know anything about it. I don't want anything to do with it. And instantaneously I was like, ooh. So do you have any reasons why parents should engage in social media?
Sure. I think it's a question of what type of relationship you want to have with your kids. And parents today, especially with this generation, need to get on board with social media. Maybe not necessarily dive in completely, but at least to have an appreciation and understanding for what the kids today are using it for, how they're relating to each other using virtually mediated platforms like Twitter and Facebook and the such. But really, I think there's an opportunity here for parents to actually increase and enrich their relationships with their children, oddly enough, by introducing this form of technology in some ways.
Okay, cool. So do you think that it's beneficial for kids to be involved in social media?
I think with a lot of things, it's all about moderation and appropriate use.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I think is important for parents to understand how social media works is that they can then model it for their children as well as be a guide for what is appropriate and what's not, and how much is too much and when is it actually empowering and actually something you should pursue.
Cool. So it seems like you would say that there are healthy elements to it, but is there a time period where you think that it would be more appropriate for a kid, say, my son, to jump into the social media pool?
Sure. So I was just recently at an event where the founder of Twitter was actually speaking to the school community that my kids go to. And so it was a very fortunate to get the insights of one of the guys who actually created these massive platforms. And one of the things I took away from there was that that empowering aspect of social media, that our generation of kids today now have the chance to actually connect, collaborate, and find some creative spaces with people across the globe that they haven't even met yet or physically won't have a chance to do in the near future just because they're so small and young, right? So one example that we have started to do with my family is to find some of the authors that my children are reading, and find their Twitter accounts and just tweet out to them and see if they can make a connection. And just think about the adventure that a child has if they actually know or have a relationship with the actual author that they are reading their book currently and just engrossed in the book. And then the author is in relationship with them across one of these social networks. It just increases their appetite for reading and just immersing themselves in that way. So there definitely are creative ways to, I would say, make use of these tools that your first assumptions wouldn't go to that direction, right?
Right. So then, would you say that there's like an age limit, or are you looking for, like, when you're 13, yes, you can have this, or is it more like when you show me that you're responsible, then you can jump in? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think training wheels are appropriate analogy in this metaphor in this situation, right? So I think, for instance, in my family, we've created a family Twitter account instead of individual ones, and we go on together and start that process. Same thing with email. My children, even at this point, my second grader has an email account where both my wife and I get copies of every single email that goes into that account. automatically, so we're monitoring what's going on. But even the email time is done during family time when the laptops are open and we're within the room, so it's not done in private for the child. So
Yeah.
I think training wheels are definitely something that you should think about as a parent of what does that look like in the context of letting them start to use social media.
Very nice. So, so I'm a parent, and I'm seeing this, rolling down the tracks in a few years or many years, whatever. Depends on which kid you're talking about. But I'm a parent, and I'm kind of panicking. Like, well, how can I keep up with my kids on what they're doing online? They've got a million outlets. How can I track it? Do you have any practical solutions for either software or ways in which that we can really see what our kids are doing and stay connected?
Yeah, again, it's contextualized to your own family culture, values, etc. But I would say one of the standard broad rules of engagement would be to sit down with your kids and make sure that you as parents have the keys to the cars, so to speak, so that you would have their logins and their passwords. Not that you are going in and snooping around every day, but just letting them know that there is this sense of accountability that can come into play to keep them on their toes and to be responsible. So that's the first aspect of, I think, making sure that you can monitor. Second, employing that relationship. So you have your own social media account on the platforms that they're on.
Right.
And you befriend them, either follow them or friend them on Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus, etc.
Right.
And so that you have in your newsfeed, in your stream, you see their activity, and that they know that you're doing that it's out in the open, and that they understand that anything they publish out there is going to be seen by their parents.
Cool. So, last question for you. Let's say that there's a parent right now who is listening to this interview and they're saying, yeah, I get it, but I still think that it's just evil and it's going to lead nowhere good. Do you have anything that you would just say, to the parents that are on the fence? What would you tell them to convince them to plug in?
Yeah, I think this is actually an opportunity for this generation of parents. In previous generations, kids would go around into their own social circles and huddles and cliques and go off and do things. They, Friday nights they go down to the mall and you have no idea what they're doing. You're sitting there waiting for them, waiting for them to come home. And now you have the ability to have some sort of transparency into their lives. And so just from that selfish parental point of view, I think it's a great place to start to monitor and just get a sense of what they're thinking, what they're doing, and being able then to respond or react to certain things that might be coming up in the social streams. And it's also an excuse where, if you discover that your child has an issue, whether it's bullying or a dating issue or some other massive social issue in their life, it's hard for you to broach the subject if you didn't come upon that information in an open manner. Here, if it's across the social streams, you can. It's definitely a way to provide an excuse to bring that up in conversation and continue that dialogue with your children, so that you have a healthy, open relationship in that way.
Great, Kenny. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you sharing your insights, your feedback, and some of your practical lessons with us here at my blog. So thanks a lot, Kenny.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right, man.